It's all quiet in the underground bunker. Doors closed, locks bolted. But the Great One isn't just resting on his laurels. He's making sure your weekend is even better by giving you his best. This is the best of Mark Levin.
The official constitutional certification under the 12th Amendment of the Constitution of Donald Trump as President of the United States. An overwhelming victory. He won as you know, the popular vote, 312 votes in the Electoral College. That's a landslide, every single so-called battleground state. A landslide. And so from this moment forward, the Democrat Party is plotting to sabotage Donald Trump's presidency. That's what they're doing. Just as they plotted to sabotage his presidency when he won in 2016. You know, the media and the Democrats and the usual morons and reprobates, they like to talk about January 6, 2020, but they don't talk about what happened before January 6, 2020. 2 phony impeachments, phony criminal investigations, every effort possible at a coup against Donald Trump to get him removed from office, to smear him, to destroy him. Oh, that's right. They act like January 6, 2020 just happened in a vacuum. And then they pretend they're lawyers like Mark Elias and other slip-and-fall lawyers. Weren't in courtrooms all over the country, states all over the country, changing the election rules, which is exactly what they did. Then we're told it's the cleanest election in American history, even though it had the fewest protections against fraud in American history, and they still do. Well, how come you're not challenging this election, Mark? Well, because Donald Trump doesn't cheat to get elected president. The Republicans don't cheat to get electoral votes. And whatever was taking place, the Republicans overcame it, didn't they? Yes, they did. You know now in the state of California, still a state, isn't it, Mr. Producer? Some people say we should swap it with Canada. I told President Trump today, he said, you know, Canada, 51 state. I said to him, yeah, but it's very liberal. It'll be a very liberal 51st state. He said, well, we could work on that, Mark. That's the truth. Okay, very good. But that said, California has a law in place. The localities are not allowed, they're not permitted under state law to require voter identification. So you have massive illegal immigration in the state of California and no voter identification. Gee, I wonder why. Is that put in there to ensure that only citizens vote? Is that put in there to ensure the legitimacy of an election? No, of course. It's put in there to sanction, to institutionalize fraud. And then if you raise it, oh, you're an election denier. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I am. So we have a peaceful transfer of power, we're told, and of course we do. But then the maniacs, the revolutionaries, the Islamists, the Marxists, and the rest of the reprobates in the Democrat Party and their media, they're going at it, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to do everything they can to block Kash Patel, yes, Hegseth, and others. They're going to do everything they can right now to make sure that Donald Trump can't make his personnel decisions. So over at the Office of Personnel Management, they're changing the rules as I speak. They want to make sure that we're not energy independent, as we were in 2016 to 2020, because Joe Biden today, the dictator, the Putinoid, the hemorrhoid, Joe Biden, who is depraved, not only demented, but depraved. With a magic wand, he said, you know what? No more drilling for oil or gas in federal waters. Well, almost all waters are federal. The ocean. No more. And that's on top of what he did in August. Entire Arctic Ocean barred from drilling for gas and oil. Barred. 28 acres of Alaskan land in August. Barred. I should say 28 million acres. Barred. And he's seeking to do the same in Nevada. No gas and oil leasing on 264,000 acres. He's starving us of energy. Why? So we have to buy energy from his buddies in Iran and Saudi Arabia. That's why. Biden is a depraved imbecile. And that's besides the dimension. A depraved imbecile. How How come they don't talk about what happened before January 6, 2020? All the efforts at an insurrection against Donald Trump. Peaceful transfer of power. No, it's not. They're plotting to destroy the Trump presidency as I speak. Joe Biden is stacking every vacant district court judgeship and appellate judgeship with radical left-wingers right now. So you and I and normal Americans and Donald Trump doesn't have a chance in court. We've seen these judges in New York. We see how they conduct themselves. Destroying Rudy Giuliani today, a federal judge in New York held him in contempt. The guy's broke. He's destitute. He's sued, you see, libel. Used to be libel cases against public officials. Don't even bother. But now, sure bother. We got the judges in place. They'll do just fine. What else has Biden done, the depraved maniac? U.S. Steel. Nippon Steel in Japan was going to acquire U.S. Steel. Now, maybe some of you folks out there say, we can't have that. By the way, it's the third largest steel company in America, not the first, but nonetheless, we can't have that. We need it for our national security. Why? Is Japan going to move all the steel and the material to Japan? Of course not. Do you know why U.S. Steel wanted to be bought out by Nippon Steel? Because they don't have enough capital to do what steel companies do. Mine, refine, create usable steel. They need more capital. And so effectively, they were going to combine with Nippon Steel, an ally. An ally. Joe Biden magic wand says no. The union guys don't like it, so the answer is no. But the union guys are going to suffer, whether their bosses like it or not. They're going to suffer when there's layoffs because they don't have the capital they want. But Joe's very busy. Water heaters that are in most of your homes. Well, if you need to replace them, in many cases, old water heater types, that technology, he's banning them. How did he do it? He waved his magic wand. We're going to ban all future water heaters of the kind that most of us have. They're going to drive up the cost of heating your own water for senior citizens, for poor people, because this is how we save the planet. No, this is how stupid and insane this moron is, and same with his advocates who are running the country. Then he takes the Medal of Freedom, even destroys that institution. He hands it to Soros, who is an evil, evil human being. He may have been born Jewish, but he's a Jew hater. He's an Israel hater. But he's a big sugar daddy for the Democrat Party, the radical left. The anti-Jewish left, the anti-American left. He's given to 500 organizations, thousands of grants. What else has Joe Biden done? He's commuted the sentences of murderers. Who were the worst 37 or 39 murderers in the federal prison system? What did he do? I'm going to commute their sentences. Remember the first 1,500 pardons and commutations he gave out? They were to nonviolent people. Then they're starting to, wait a minute, this woman murdered 2 of her husbands and 1 boyfriend. Oops, excuse me. But these people are in federal prison because they're murderers. One guy murdered a family. You got these guys with the raping and the murdering and so forth. He commuted their sentences, excuse me. This is what he does. This is what he's doing. This is a sick bastard. Let's just admit it. Let's just admit it. I've only just begun, of course. It's a brand new year. To me, 1 year is like the next year. You wake up every day, have some energy, go on offense, live your life, and do what you need to do. People say, what is your New Year's resolution? I say, what New Year's resolution? Every day I have a resolution. To do what's right. To have some fun. To love my family and love my country. What other resolution is there? Honestly, I don't know. And people, I had to lose weight. And of course, they never do.
Mark Levin.
Making your weekend even better. This is the best of Mark Levin.
We are extremely lucky that we have a Donald Trump. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, you look at the long path of history behind us, people like this come along very rarely. They're mocked, they're ridiculed, because the very people who are responsible for the circumstances we now face, they're perfectly happy with them. They've created them. They've orchestrated this. And so when you have somebody who is smart, who's experienced, now more than ever, in the presidency, who's courageous, who's bold, we're very lucky. We're very lucky he didn't die from an assassin's bullet. Very lucky. And we're very lucky that he decided that he would run for president again, because he didn't need it. God knows he doesn't need it. He didn't need the heartache. He didn't need the expense. He didn't need the ridicule. He didn't need the character assassination, the legal cases. He didn't need any of it, but he did it. He's a gift to this nation. I'm not slobbering. I'm not kissing ass. I am telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. People have to look at this the right way. The right way. Now we have a judge in Florida. We're lucky to have this judge. Aileen Cannon. Former federal prosecutor, former partner at a major law firm, but they ridicule and attack her. Who? The likes of Andrea Mitchell, who has an IQ of a kumquat. Who's wrong about everything. Who's lined up with the hardcore Democrat left. Who defended Biden's insanity. She should have been yanked a long time ago. She should have gotten the hook a long time ago. She's dishonest. She's an intellectual fraud. But aren't they all? So here's what happened, just so you understand. You're in the right place at the right time. Merrick Garland, the Attorney General of the United States, and his handpicked hatchet man, Jack Smith, they're preparing a report about, among other things, the document case in Florida. And this report, as I understand it, was going to talk about all the things they were going to do to prove that Donald Trump is a criminal. And they were going to release it right before the inauguration. Now, let's stop right there. You're the smartest of all audiences. I tell people this all the time. You're the smartest of all audiences, or you wouldn't be here. You'd be listening to some dope down the channel or something else. Number one, she ruled that his appointment is unconstitutional. Number two, they appealed it, but they've dropped the appeal because they're not proceeding with the case. Number three, he shouldn't be filing anything in her courtroom because she ruled he doesn't exist. And they dropped the appeal. But he's doing it anyway, clearly at the direction of the Attorney General. That's just for starters. Now, you know there's two co-defendants because this not-so-special prosecutor wanted to really put pressure on the conviction of Donald Trump over documents. Documents. Well, these two co-defendants, they're not buckling. They're sticking by their stories. But they didn't drop the case against them. The Department of Justice, in the form, I guess, of the U.S. Attorney down there, claims that they're going to continue the case. Now, when Pam Bondi takes over, hopefully things will be much different, and I'm sure they will be. But that's the state of play right now. That's the state of play right now. You can't put out a report as a nobody, not even a special prosecutor, talking about all the crimes that were committed in this case when you still have two defendants violating due process, violating equal protection, violating basic rights to go back 1,000 years. Your right to confront the prosecutor and the allegations against you. You don't get to write a report and just spill it out there in the public because you want to try and humiliate and embarrass and character assassinate a man who's about to be sworn in as president of the United States. Have you ever seen anything so political in your life? From soup to nuts, the bringing of the cases, the way they've treated these cases, the SWAT team at Mar-a-Lago, and now this. And now this. And by the way, the slimeball who should be disbarred, who worked for Jack Smith, who directed the use of a SWAT team against the Trumps at Mar-a-Lago, he just resigned the other day. You want to know why? He's a puke coward. He's a coward. He doesn't want to face the Office of Professional Responsibility. He doesn't want an ethics investigation of him. So he resigned. That slimeball nobody. He'll wind up on CNN and MSNBC, just like all the other reprobates who were one step ahead of the jailhouse. But there was every reason for Judge Cannon to rule as she did. Now, she put the report off for now, suspended it. And this report is produced as a matter of regulation. It's supposed to be confidential to go to the Attorney General. The Attorney General wants it. Smith wants it, who's a nobody, in order to have a final smear of Donald Trump. This is our Department of Injustice today. There it is. So the judge rules, no, I'm on to you. You know, she's not an idiot like Chutkan. She's not a lapdog for the Democrats like Chutkan. The judge in Washington, D.C., I don't even think she read anything. Who filed it? Oh, Smith, here. Rubber stamp, rubber stamp, rubber stamp. She turned her courtroom inside out and upside down, violated God knows how many rules in order to accommodate the government. This is what we're faced with. This is what we're faced with in New York. With this clown Mershon, who should be disbarred. Well, you'd have to go to the authorities, the legal authorities in New York. They're not going to disbar him. They'll probably give him an award. So the judge says, no. I want you to listen to Andrea Mitchell, who doesn't have a legal degree, who doesn't have an ounce of intelligence, who's been so outrageous as a phony report on MSNBC. The idea that she still has a job is a bleeding hemorrhoid on the body of America media. She's a bleeding hemorrhoid on the body of America media. That's right, Andrea. Cut 5, go.
Well, the 11th Circuit would be hearing a case that had already been decided in many other districts, that special prosecutors are legal.
Okay, hold on. What the hell are you talking about? They dropped the case. What do you mean the 11th Circuit will be hearing the case? You're such an idiot. You don't even know the state of play. That's number one. That's number one. Number two, it's not a matter of whether special prosecutors are legal, say other circuits. Tell us, which other circuit said so? Under the Independent Counsel Act, which hasn't existed for years, the Supreme Court upheld the Independent Counsel, the statute that was passed and so forth, but it was so bad that Congress got rid of it. Is that what she's talking about? Is that what she's talking about? There were a lot of problems with the appointment of Jack Smith. I won't bother you with them, but it distinguishes his appointment from all past special prosecutor appointments under the regulations in place at the Department of Justice. He hadn't been an employee of the Department of Justice, and I can go on and on and on. So there is a myriad of distinctions between the two, but she's too stupid or too ideological to give a damn. That's the truth. Go ahead.
Cannon, and we know that she has done some very unusual decisions.
So she's trashing the judge. There haven't been any unusual decisions. She's been right. There haven't been any unusual decisions. The hell is she talking about? Go ahead.
All favor Donald Trump in many controversial ways. Has
Name one. Name one. This is the problem. This judge did what she needed to do from a legal perspective. There's nothing controversial. The controversy is Jack Smith. Jack Smith has been stopped repeatedly by the U.S. Supreme Court. He's been stopped, yes, by Judge Cannon. The only judge that's been giving him a rubber stamp has been Judge Chunkin, because she's an Obama bomb thrower. And 2 judges at the circuit level in D.C., because they're an Obama and because they're Biden bomb throwers. And so people who watch MSNBC, all 7 of them, they get this kind of outrageous information. Andrea Mitchell is a fraud, a phony, and a fool. That's what she is. Go ahead.
Order temporarily blocking the portion, at least the portion of the report on classified documents. That's raising questions about the jurisdiction. One senior law enforcement official telling NBC News...
Shut up, you idiot. Shut up. I'm sick of you propagandists. You're in the wrong country. If you were in Russia, you'd be doing a great job. Iran, you'd be doing a great job. You're a reporter. You should be a reporter for Pravda, a reporter for Al Jazeera. You shouldn't be an American reporter. You're too much of a, number one, an idiot, but number 2, a liar. But don't worry, there's Lisa Rubin, MSNBC legal correspondent. She must be really smart. She's a legal correspondent for MSNBC? Listen to this idiot. Cut 6, go.
And in both instances, she says Jack Smith, Attorney General Merrick Garland, and Department of Justice employees and agents and those of the special counsel's office are precluded from sharing either the report or any information contained therein beyond the Department of Justice itself. That theoretically means that, for example, when the 11th Circuit decides that they want to have a crack at this, that those actors will be precluded from even sharing with the 11th Circuit.
All right, let's stop. This is a legal analyst. If the 11th Circuit wants to see the report, the 11th Circuit will overrule and say, release the report and give it to us. You idiot. That's number 1. The case is before the trial judge, the district court. She is the first shot at this. And she's trying to protect the rights of the defendants. There's absolutely 100% no legal basis, no policy basis, no legitimate basis for even producing this report. None. They dropped the case against Trump, and you got ongoing cases against 2 co-defendants. Why are you writing a report? Even under the regulation, this isn't time for the report. They're writing a report to try and humiliate Trump before he's sworn in. That's it. And this idiot, this legal analyst over at MSLSD is acting like there's something wrong with this judge. Well, there's 2 grounds. Shut up, you idiot. How stupid do you have to be on TV as a lawyer? I'm serious. These aren't even your garden variety slip and fall lawyers. They're dumber. Go ahead.
The superior decision maker, the information about the report or even a draft report so that they can make a decision here.
What are you talking about? So they can make a decision here. A decision about what? What are you talking about? A decision about whether the report should be released? So listen to this idiot. The report should be released so the decision maker, the circuit court, the appellate court, can make a decision about whether the report can be released. How stupid do you have to be to work at MSNBC? You know what? Comcast, what the hell's taking you so long? You're already losing subscribers. You want to lose more? You got to broom your network here. You got the Joy Reids, Madam Bigot, the biggest bigot in the media. Then you got idiots like this, Andrea Mitchell, and whoever the hell Lisa Rubin is, the legal analyst for MSNBC. Can you imagine having that on your resume? Go ahead.
It's not clear to folks like me, Andrea.
All right, shut up, idiot. There you go, Lisa Rubin. Andrea Mitchell.
Mark Levin.
You're listening to the best of Mark Levin.
Now, the Electoral College is key to the unity of this country. It ensures that even states with small or smaller populations, but crucial to the nation, energy-producing states, beef-producing states, states where crops are grown and you need a lot of acres that aren't dense, that sort of thing, that they have representation. If you just go by the popular vote, then, the cities win and everybody else loses. And so you would have even more division in this nation. You'd have people who have absolutely no representation. So it is a sure way to destroy the country. Certainly whatever harmony there is, whatever harmony is left. Moreover, if you want to eliminate the Electoral College, you need to amend the Constitution, because the Electoral College is in the Constitution. And so they've come up with this cockamamie scheme, you see, where states will get around the Constitution and the amendment process, blue states, by simply saying they will throw their Electoral College votes to whoever wins the popular vote, thereby making the Electoral College a dead letter, an irrelevancy. And they'll even do that if in their own state the other candidate wins. They will still throw their Electoral College votes to whoever wins the majority vote. So you're talking about purple and blue states who don't care how the people vote. That's what they want to do within their own state. Now, it's funny how they throw around the word insurrection, how they throw around the word the Constitution, democracy, when they're constantly screaming on how to destroy them. Constantly scheming on how to destroy them. Like no voter ID, stuff like that. Voter harvesting, and now no Electoral College, and we'll just, the votes to amend the Constitution to do away with it. So we'll just do away with it. We have a whole scheme. And these are the people who claim to support democracy. Jamie Raskin is a Marxist. By the way, America, why won't any of these people debate me? We've tried AOC. We've gone through a long list of these Marxists. None of them will come on. Any form that I have. By the way, neither will the rhinos. What is the problem? Fear. They fear me. But I wish they'd debate me. They're so smart. I'm just a dumb talk show host. Come on. Come on. Well, here is Raskin on The Daily Show. The Daily Show, isn't that John Leibowitz's show, Mr. Producer? So here you have John Leibowitz, who changes his name because he doesn't want to be identified as a Jew. Imagine this. Imagine this. On with Raskin, who's a Marxist. We got to get rid of the Electoral College. And then they pretend they want to get rid of it for the people. Now remember, fascists, Marxists, Islamists, autocrats of every stripe, they always seek to destroy tradition, systems, limited power, our Constitution, in the name of the people. In the name of democracy. Excuse me. In the name of liberty. Then, the things they actually hate. It's like in China, as I've talked about, the People's Republic of China. The people have nothing to do with it. But here's Raskin on The Daily Show. Cut 15, go.
Donald Trump is very proud of the fact that he beat Kamala by 3 million votes, and we're proud of the fact that Joe Biden beat Donald Trump by 7 million votes in 2020. But if they're proud of the popular vote, why don't we get rid of the Electoral College and start electing the president the way we elect everybody else, like representatives and senators and mayors and governors?
So there you have the clapping seals. You see, people vote for their own tyranny. Let me help out the dunce, and he knows this, but he's an a-hole. It's a Marxist. You have a direct vote for representatives of the House because there's 435 of them, each one representing a specific district with a specific population. So a member of the House from a specific district with a specific population doesn't represent the whole country. They represent their specific district with a specific population. What about the Senate? Well, I wish we could repeal the 17th Amendment. The reason we have a Senate was to represent the state legislatures. But they changed that, unfortunately, with the 17th Amendment, and now we have the direct election of senators. What do senators represent? A specific state. Not the country, a specific state. Hello, again, what do they represent? A specific state, not the country. So senators represent a state, and House members represent a congressional district. Even Jamie Raskin, a Marxist puke like him, should have a level of third-grade intelligence, but he lies. So why don't we have direct elections like everybody else? Because the president and the vice president, they're the only people who are elected nationwide. Nationwide. And the framers were very clear. We can't have a president and vice president who are just elected by the big states, or we won't have a United States. Why would Montana or Wyoming or low population states, Alaska, why would they agree to a popular vote and not the Electoral College? I'll even go further. Why are there 2 senators for every state? Whether it's Delaware and Rhode Island or Montana and you name it, or California and New York and Pennsylvania, the high population states have 2 senators and the low populations have 2 senators. So according to Raskin's thinking, we should eliminate the United States Senate. We should eliminate the Senate, just have a popular vote, and destroy the country. You eliminate checks and balances. You eliminate separation of powers. It's called mobocracy and mob rule. And the Democrats benefit from mobocracy and mob rule because in the end, mobocracy and mob rule lead to what? Autocracy, fascism, Marxism, or some kind of ism. Certainly not democracy, certainly not republicanism. And so when you have a mob, you eventually have a tyranny. You can have tyranny by the mob, tyranny by a single dictator. But in the end, it's all concentrated power. And that's where Jamie Raskin is. You have to understand, Jamie Raskin is the enemy. Jamie Raskin is a Marxist. Jamie Raskin doesn't believe in the people. He believes he's so smart he should control the people, re-engineer the people. That's what he is. And the little a-hole won't come on this program and debate me about it.
Mark Levin.
The Great One makes your weekend even better. This is the best of Mark Levin.
It's time to have a serious discussion. It's time to have the courage to have a serious discussion. We see what's going on in the state of California. California, a few decades back, was known by all of us, even those of us who didn't live in California, as the greatest of the states. Opportunity, vibrancy, massive economy, solid government, well-run, beautiful state, every kind of geography imaginable. It's become a third world hellhole in less than a quarter of a century. A one-party run third world hellhole. Rampant crime, rampant illegal immigration, borders wide open, brownouts, blackouts, electricity unreliable, water shortages, gas prices through the roof, highest in the country, minimum wage, highest in the country, destroying jobs and destroying businesses. You see, ladies and gentlemen, California, like many of our states, and like our country under Biden and his ilk, are run by incompetent, unserious ideologues who believe they're smarter than all of us, who believe they can conquer Mother Nature, who believe that they are wiser than all of us, and they are creating these disasters, whether on the border, whether in our cities, our forests. They're destroying the country. See, these people believe that they can remake society because they're smarter than the rest of us. They got the great ideas, smarter than the people. They believe that they can remake mankind, human nature. And they believe that they can remake the earth. Climate change, global warming, global cooling, call it whatever you want. That they have the power to do all these things, and yet they don't have the power to do a damn thing. And they're destroying the country. And they've destroyed the state of California. And the people in California are paying the price for it now, even though they vote for it. Now, there's a reason why this is the worst fire they believe right now in the history of California, why there's brownouts and blackouts, why there's a lack of water, why gas prices are through the roof, The people who run California pretend, they claim that they care about the environment. And yet look what they've done to the environment. Look what they've done. This is the truth. Mother Nature is a mother, all right, but not about nature. There's no such thing as Mother Nature. It is a pejorative. It is a term that's been given to nature to try and seem, well, it's so sweet. Nature's brutal. Ask the people the last few days have had to dig out from these snowstorms. Ask people who have to deal with earthquakes and hurricanes, tidal waves. And I can go on and on. Nature has slaughtered, killed more people than we can count. More people than we can count. Most of us live in secure homes. We have air conditioning. We have heat. We have the necessities to survive. And more than survive, thrive. And we're led to believe that we somehow are abusing nature. No, nature abuses us. And it always will, whether we like it or not. And so, what you do in the face of such power is you try and manage your communities. You try and manage your surroundings in such a way as when Mother Nature decides to unleash an assault on mankind, you're in a better position to deal with it. Can't change it, can't stop it, but deal with it. So in California, they don't manage their forests properly. The lumber companies are the enemy. Georgia Pacific is the enemy. They're destroying the environment, when in fact, of course, they're not. They're cleaning out the dead wood, the brush. They remove trees, and then they plant new trees. But we're supposed to hate them. Progress is to be hated. Capitalism is to be hated. It's almost a religion on the left. It's okay if there's fires. It's okay if lightning causes forest fires. This is nature. It's natural. As if they're mooing at the moon. Now, we're not allowed to talk about these things. You see, when there's mass murder, right out of their mouths, gun control, gun control, gun control, even though gun control has almost nothing to do with it, gun control by the people who don't believe in throwing criminals, and I mean recidivists, back into prison, where their president just gave commuted sentences, I should say, to murderers. Went out of his way. Our cities are in decline. The country's in decline. California is in a hell of a mess. And people need to be held account for this. They need to be held to account. Now, that's not to say there wouldn't be fires, but it is to say there wouldn't be fires like this. The fire hydrants don't have any water. Why? Because it's some damnable little fish that nobody's ever heard of before and doesn't even matter. That's the excuse anyway. Climate change. Just blithely throw around these terms as if they matter to the people now who are suffering horribly in California, losing everything. They won't learn their lesson, the Democrats in California. They won't learn their lesson in Washington, D.C. What the hell? People lose their homes. Some have lost their life. As Marx put it, a little bit of despotism. That's the way it goes when you're trying to change society for the better. For the people, of course. For the people, of course. Now's not the time to mention this. Of course, it is the time to mention this. Because when this is over, Nobody will give a damn anymore. And so now we have the EPA giving waivers because of Biden, type of vehicles people can drive, the kind of trucks that can be driven in California. It is a state destroying itself. And it's trying to drag the rest of the nation with it. Used to be, as California goes, so goes the nation. Let's pray that's not true. By God, let's hope not. But we don't have to look overseas anymore. We don't have to look in the third world anymore. Just look at California. Look at New York. Look at Illinois. But especially tonight, look at California. This is what's in store for the whole country. A state with the highest taxes in the country, whether it's income taxes, property taxes, sales taxes, highest prices on energy in the country, if you can get it, still brownouts and blackouts, horrendous services for the public. Teachers' unions and other public sector unions control the state. One-party rule, supermajorities in the legislature. Massive crime waves. Businesses shuttering. Businesses leaving as fast as they can. Illegal aliens pouring into the state by the hundreds of thousands. Complete mismanagement of the state's resources because of some religious type ideology. California's showing us what's going to happen to the rest of the country. What's going to happen to the rest of the country? Look at New York. A congestion tax, $27. I've been in that New York congestion, and there's nothing like it. It is hell, hell, hell. And what is it? It's people trying to get to work. It's buses trying to transport people. It's trucks trying to bring produce and supplies and other products into a city that used to be vibrant, that used to be bustling. It's enormously stressful driving in that city, getting into that city and getting out of that city, more than any other city. LA is a disaster too, but don't get me wrong. Nothing's like New York. New York has 4 to 5 times as many people in the metropolitan area as LA does. Not even a close call. And so what do? They tax the people. Excuse me? That's right. We're going to tax you even more. You're stressed out to begin with. It's incredibly expensive to live in and around the city. It's dangerous as hell. Illegal aliens are being handed out goodies, credit cards, hotel rooms, you name it. Crime is through the roof. The place is filthy. They're trying to put Rudy Giuliani in federal prison, who cleaned up the damn place, America's mayor. And what do? They have a solution? $27. That's the solution. That's the solution. Because these people are incompetent, they're unserious, and they're ideologues. That's the solution. Government didn't build New York. The private economy built New York. Entrepreneurs built New York. Men and women who wanted to succeed because they couldn't succeed anywhere else. They came to New York. California. Government didn't build California. Settlers and beyond saw an opportunity. In the 50s and 60s and 70s, even the 80s, people saw an opportunity. California was the land of opportunity. Low taxes, magnificent environment and climate, livable state. Now look at it. Didn't take long, 25 years. Didn't take long at all. And now California's burning. Yes, it's nature. Or maybe it's an arsonist. 100-mile-an-hour winds. But the steps that should have been taken, rational, known steps that should have been taken, were not taken. The opposite was done. In the name of the environment tonight, the environment's being destroyed in California. In the name of the people are running for their lives. Chad Bergman of Fox noted that the new Republican Senator Montana, Senator Tim Sheehy, has a wildlife fighting company on California wildfires. He said those of us in the wildfire community have been shouting from the rooftops for years that this was going to happen. We were going to have the big one in a wildland urban interface environment, which is what this is. And it was going to be catastrophic. This is the big one. And a federal apparatus. We are not prepared to fight fire year around. It's January. Most of the air tankers, helicopters, and firefighters are off contract. They're not prepared to launch out. And now we're putting a lot of brave first responders not in an extremely dangerous scenario because we have failed them in an extremely dangerous scenario, is what I meant to say. That's a bureaucracy to make sure that they're paid sufficiently.
Mark Levin.
We're giving you nothing but the best of Mark Levin.
Almost looks like an atomic bomb blew up in and around Los Angeles. The devastation is, I'm certain that more than 5 people have died from fires like this in different locations. The intensity of it, the speed of the move of the fires with the wind. And it also appears that everything that could go wrong went wrong. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. And by that I don't mean nature. I mean by the incompetence, by the ideologues who run the water system, who oversee the budgets for the fire departments, and on and on. It all came to a head. And the consequences are just unbelievable. And I'm sick and tired of the media and the left telling us that we shouldn't hold people to account. Now, what do you mean by that, Mark? They keep calling it politicization, that this is being politicized. No, it's not. When Donald Trump and others, me behind this microphone, demand to know exactly who did what it was based on, we want to understand why they keep pushing these radical ideologies that put people at risk and their homes at risk and animals at risk. We need answers. We need answers. You cannot have devastation like this and not get answers and not have accountability. You have a governor. The governor's in charge. DeSantis was in charge of Florida during the hurricanes, and he gets an A++. This guy, Newsom, is a disaster. And he's not the only one. He's not the only one. These crazy, radical, phony environmental policies, these degrowth attacks on the infrastructure, on our energy, on water availability. This needs to be addressed because they want to take this act nationwide. That's what they want to do. Now, I've spent a lot of today doing research, looking online at various studies and so forth, so you don't have to. And I notice I was using Google that all these left-wing programs, DEI programs, equity programs, environmental justice programs, environmental reparations programs, every time I was trying to do research, these things just kept popping up, scores at a time. Every university is involved in this sham. Every university, virtually, in California. They have programs promoting this ideology. And it's taken people's lives. It's taken their homes. It's been absolutely horrendous. And we in this country, whether in California or anywhere, we need answers now. We spend trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars on climate change, so-called. On the Green New Deal, so-called. We've got regulators in Washington, D.C. doing things that impact towns, cities, communities all over this country in horrendous ways. They don't represent the people. In fact, I would argue that their activities are unconstitutional. They're not our representatives. And then we have actual representatives of the people, like in California. They keep pointing fingers elsewhere. And they have their defenders, even now on television. The idea that a fire hydrant doesn't have water pressure for a situation like this in a place that has wildfires is crazy. With the kind of money that that government in California pulls in and spends. I watched this guy Newsom. He's a clown. He doesn't even understand what's going on. It's up to the locals when it comes to water. No, it isn't. It's not a local issue. The water's not produced locally. Doesn't come from, originally, from local sites. Water pressure and fire hydrants. Shouldn't that be like the number one issue? So they're having to use garden hoses, which aren't going to put out fires. Now, what's amazing about that is apparently there's enough water pressure for garden hoses. We all know what's been going on. We've been witness to this, whether you live in California or anywhere else in the United States. The radical environmental groups and their lawsuits to prevent infrastructure from being formed and built and maintained. Washington, D.C. and Sacramento with their crazy-ass policies when it comes to fish and other things. The battle over water, the water wars they call them in California. Well, now they have consequences. This isn't the only thing. Brownouts and blackouts, energy shortages, gasoline shortages, electricity shortages, water shortages, water redistribution. In the state of California, which really has more natural resources, certainly a diversity of natural resources than any other state in the country. The largest population of any other state in the country, the biggest budget of any other state in the country. It wasn't always this way, but it's this way now. It's the same ideology that has an open border and has destroyed our immigration system, destroying our communities with Venezuelan gangs, Salvadoran gangs, other criminals, fentanyl. That's man-made. That's not nature. That's man-made. Or the undermining of our police forces and law and order all across the country. They just gave Soros, Biden did, the regime, Presidential Medal of Freedom. Soros, in part, is responsible for widespread crime that's taking place in this country. Medal of Freedom. Says, I don't really care about the social consequences of my position. And that's from his days as a teenager in Germany when the Nazis were taking property, which he was involved in. He gets a Medal of Freedom. They're ultimately going to destroy the car industry. They're trying to push people into electrical vehicles that they cannot afford, where there aren't enough stations to charge up, where the car is, in my view, totally inconvenient, especially if you want to travel out of state or for some kind of distance or something like that. The grid is incapable of handling all of this electrical use. Nobody has a solution for that. Nobody's proposed a solution for that. And yet here we go, wild-eyed, in a radical ideological agenda that has real consequences. You know, we keep killing the energy industry. We're not going to have food in this country. What do you think fertilizer is made out of? What do you think tractors use when food's being harvested? What do you think trucks use in order to get the food to our grocery stores and so forth and so on? The packaging, the plastic, it's all fuel-based, all of it. All of it. Electricity can't substitute for that. We're not building nuclear plants. We're not building anything that will create the kind of energy we need. So people are going to freeze during the winter. You're going to have heat waves during the summer. And the impact is going to be devastating on life. This is what happens when you follow these ideologues, these radical, no-growth Marxist ideologues, which has been mainstreamed in the Democrat Party, in the media, and academia. Has real consequences, and we're not allowed to discuss it. We're not supposed to discuss it. Well, like hell, you cannot have a disaster like this in the United States of America, in the greatest country on the face of the earth, because these kooks, these radical kooks have taken over. And ground zero is California. Now, here's a woman who runs into Gavin Newsom in California today, whose life has been devastated. I don't know what this guy Gavin Newsom does. For many years, past years, all he does is he travels to Washington, he goes around the country, he wants to be president, does media interviews. The hell, this guy's totally useless. He's the Justin Trudeau of California. That's what he is. A pretty boy who's got a low IQ, who's lazy, who doesn't do the hard work. Cut one, go.
Governor, you got a second? Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the call.
Why is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids. Losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
to
everything
fill the hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that.
I literally.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I would. I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, incling making sure people are safe.
I'd like to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing? Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact information?
Right now.
Mm-hmm. Boy, she was good because she's desperate and she doesn't believe him. And the man's had years to address these issues, years. I hope you'll watch my Saturday Life, Liberty, and Levin Sunday, too. I address this. I hope you'll watch The Blaze. I address this, too. He's a liar. He's talked about cleaning up these forest floors to an extent he never did, 2021, and they caught him. And NPR, of all media platforms, reported on it. He doesn't do the things he says he's doing. He doesn't do it. And, sadly, it's left to the firefighters and to explain what's going on and why they can't do certain things. You had firefighters, there was no water coming through these hydrants. No water coming through these hydrants. This is a state that has wildfires. But you have politicians, you have bureaucrats, you have phony experts, you have environmental groups that own the damn state. The people are basically imprisoned in this mire. They're imprisoned in this mire. They pay massive property taxes, massive income taxes, massive sale taxes. The price of everything's through the roof because they cater to these unions. And you expect the state to at least to do the basics, right? But they don't because they're too busy. They're too busy redistributing wealth, catering to illegal aliens, rejiggering society. They have their ideas of what people should do and what a state should look like, and if you get in the way, they just bulldoze over you. We don't have time to clean the forests. What, for the lumberjacks? We're not going to do that. The lumberjacks are the patriots. The lumber companies are the patriots.